stuff is pretty pop. But the
Right.
old country tears in my beer, I grew up on it. Sylvia, did you?
Yes, I did. I
I
sure
mean,
did.
I mean, that's all I ever heard growing up. My mother and dad and sister uh, all played country music, and I really never started playing music till I was about 17. And how old were you, Sylvia, when you started?
Well, I moved to Nashville right out of high school, and so I really didn't have any experience doing music in Kokomo where I grew up. So I really got started at age 19. Started
I
doing what
love this. Lacy J is doing my interview for me.
nice.
It's all good. It's all
Well,
good.
I haven't seen my friend in a long time, so it's really it's a treat to
Yes,
Well, I
to
hope
see
it
how
was a
we
bit of
both
a
started.
surprise for you.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. I'm happy about it.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
We may have another surprise for you later in the evening. We're waiting for a phone call.
Ooh,
Um, let's
Mhm.
is
talk a
it a
little bit
man?
about Leslie. Keep her straight, young lady.
Oh, be nice. Let her talk.
I am, of course, I am.
See, I have
Of
to keep
course,
them
I
in
am.
line, ladies.
I've got to. I've got
Amelia,
to. Well,
there is no keeping this straight, Mad Dog, just so you
Oh,
know.
And I doubt if there's much keeping Mad Dog in line either.
uh-oh.
Amelia, you must have to carry a big stick.
That's right.
good, Amelia. Go for it. Go for it.
Well, I have a question for Sylvia. I know that you had said that you had started at the age of 19, but not a lot of people know that you actually started as a secretary for one of RCA Records.
well, yes, actually, it was a publishing company that
Hmm.
was called Pie Jim and Chess Music, and right on 16th Avenue, just like
Hmm.
you saw, Lacey. And I worked at 1225 16th Avenue South for 4.5 years. The first 4.5 years I was in Nashville, and that's
And
how I
also,
got my start. You know, that's what paid the
So
bill.
you were discovered working for a music publisher.
Well, I wouldn't say discovered. I worked really
Well,
hard.
somebody found you.
Well, look, I was actually I auditioned for a part in a group that I didn't get the lead. I was came in second, but the RCA became interested in me as a solo vocalist during that
Right.
audition, and so from there, I about a year and a half later, I got signed to the label after Tom Collins, who I worked for at the music publishing company.
Right.
He took me in the studio and recorded some songs, and RCA liked them, and they picked me up.
hmm
Beautiful.
yeah.
Well, I want to get into a little bit of an introduction here. We've been having a little fun. Let me tell everybody a little bit about these young ladies with us. With hard luck songs that reflect her real life experience, Lacy J. Dalton became one of the most popular outlaw country, and I love that, outlaw country singers of the early 1980s. After winning Country Music Association Award as Best New Female Vocalist in 1980, she released a series of albums that were both commercially critical and original in scope and come on, dentures, in scope and originality. Dalton slowed her pace somewhat in the early 90s as she entered her fourth decade. And let's imagine, think about 4 decades in the music business up to the 1990s. That's amazing. Settling in Nevada, she continued to record and perform. 1999, she established Let 'Em Ride Foundation. We're going to find out about that tonight. An organization devoted to helping save wild horses. So, welcome, please, everyone. Amelia,
hmm
this again, this was your idea, and so Lacy J. Dalton, welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
Officially,
Welcome.
officially welcome to the show.
Welcome
Is
to our
she
show.
frozen there,
Who?
Lacey?
I'm not sure.
I think Lacey's frozen.
I think
Uh-oh.
she is too. Something happened.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Yeah, because she said
Lord.
something about her camera or something wasn't working very well or
Oh.
something.
Well, we have Sylvia here, but Sylvia Hutton, known professionally by her first name Sylvia,
Hmm.
is an American country music singer and songwriter.
Uh-oh. We lost her.
I bet she's going to log back on.
Oh, okay. Her biggest hit was a single "Nobody"
Yeah.
1982. Her country hits include Drifter, Fallen in Love, Tumbleweed, and Snapshot. She was named Female Vocalist of the Year by the Academy of Country Music in 1982. She is also credited with making the first concept music video album to air on country music, with the Matador.
Matador. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So welcome back. And well, Lacy, I'm sure Lacy realizes, oh, I better get the hell out of here. No.
Like, where'd she go?
So, Sylvia, welcome, and thank you for staying with us and not running away.
Yeah.
How did you get started? Because Amelia knows a lot more about you, and I want to find out. How did you, in earnest, get started singing? Something that you always wanted to do?
Well, Amelia knows this. I know you probably know my whole bio.
Yes, ma'am. I do.
But I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana, and there's not much music business happening there. But I loved music from such a very, very young age.
Oh, there she is.
Hey, hey there.
There she is.
So,
right.
Yeah, I just always loved to sing. It was so natural to me. It was like breathing, sleeping, eating, singing. I just did it all the time. And you know, as you grow up and you begin to wonder, I wonder how I would do this for a living. My life, you know. And so I endeavored to move to Nashville after high school. I had no interest in college. I knew that I probably had a learning curve about the music industry itself. Yeah. So my goal was to get a job working at a publishing company or some kind of a music company where I could pay my bills and learn how the business worked, because I just kind of consider these people are going to be my peeps. They're going to be my family, my music family. And that's really how it worked out. It took 4.5 years to get an interest from RCA, and then things took off pretty quickly after that.
It's hard to imagine you as an entertainer. You're so soft-spoken. You're not a crazy person like Lacy and myself. I can be crazy.
I can be crazy too.
Can't imagine how you stand in front of people. Is that a comfortable feeling for you? Are you comfortable in front of people? There are people. It's kind of it is a learning curve for sure to be in front of a couple of 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Well, I love people, and I love people that take the time to come out and see you perform live. I mean, that's really think about what that takes for people to uproot their evening or their day and buy the tickets and come out and come to the show. And I just love people, and I love singing, and I love storytelling. And so most of my music, almost all of it is a story, and I'm just telling stories through music, and it's a way to connect with people in a heartfelt way. So I feel pretty comfortable on stage, actually. And I get a little nervous before I go on, but after that during that first song, I'm there.
Gotta ask my friend Lacy J. Dalton. As you and I are both shy, unassuming people, and it's tough for us to open up in front of people. When was the first time that you had a guitar in your hand and felt like it belonged there?
Uh-oh.
Oh no, did you?
Did she freeze up again?
Uh-oh.
I think I scared this woman.
Uh-oh. There she is.
There she is. Oh, okay, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I think I scared this woman.
You probably did.
Uh-oh.
Every time I talk to you, you freeze up. I'm getting the hell out of here, man. So when was the first time you felt comfortable with a guitar in your hand and knew that it belonged there?
Maybe never.
Really? Really? That's interesting.
No, I suffer from really bad stage fright. I have really bad stage fright. I've always had it. And I tried a lot of things along the way that didn't work for stage fright. I'll never forget. There was a time when I would have a beer before I would go. That doesn't actually, if you have more than one, that probably isn't going to work. Then if you try, then my doctor gave me some blood pressure medicine, which I already have low blood pressure. So it put me into a kind of state of really relaxed and not very good performance. I think what happens is, this particular body has I've had horses like this. If you were taking them to a show, they would get so worked up. They would get so hyper before the show. They were great show horses. When they were showing, it was happening, but they had to overcome it. And I finally realized that if I take a lot of calcium and magnesium, especially magnesium, before a show. It took me years to get there, to be able to do that. And I'm glad we're talking about this on this interview, because there may be some of my friends out there who have suffered. I know Jennifer Warren has suffered so dreadfully from it that she really cannot perform. And I just hope that the word gets around that really calcium and magnesium, but you really need to take a lot. You really need to take quite a bit of it. But it actually does work for me. And if I do that, then I don't have that. Somehow that super adrenaline thing, which happens, it gets controllable.
I had that experience early in life, and I overcame it very quickly. A veteran of the business, a dear friend of mine. In fact, I mentioned his name last night, Jackie Vernon, who was an old Jewish stand-up comedian back in the day. I knew Jackie, and he said, "Listen, whenever you go on stage, just imagine everybody naked. You'll get over it." And that's what he said. Exactly how he said it too.
I've heard that
Jackie
before.
was very low key and deadpan.
I've heard that before.
Imagine everybody naked.
If I imagine the audience is naked, I get embarrassed and want to look away.
You'll be like this.
If that and a shot of Sambuca goes a long way, trust me.
I can't imagine you have ever had stage fright, but you actually did. Even as Mad Dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, you kidding me? I was terribly shy. Oh Lord.
What is wrong with
Jay,
us?
let me tell you something. Can we talk, girlfriend? Can we talk? I'm gonna tell you something. That I was painfully shy. You couldn't get me in front of people to save my life. In fact, I've been bribed a few times to do it. And it's like, no, you keep your money, keep your whatever. I don't want to do it. But then, Jackie, when you got a friend like Jackie Vernon, come on, it's all gravy after that. So let's talk a little bit about growing up in Pennsylvania. The queen of country music is from my neck of the woods. So talk to me.
I did grow up in Pennsylvania, and my dad was a guide on a hunting preserve and a war hero. He spent a year and a half in a German prison camp, shot down over Belgium. My sister, I've been saying Germany for years. It was a German prison camp, but my sister just corrected me, over Belgium. My mother was a waitress in the truck stop, and then she went to beauty school and had a salon, a hair salon. And I grew up in a little town. It's a college town, actually. It's a very beautiful town along the Susquehanna River between the capital of Harrisburg and Wilkes-Barre. So it's right in the middle of that, and it's called Bloomsburg, and there is a university there now. When I was there, it was Bloomsburg State Teachers College, and it was a beautiful place to grow up. It was I remember being able to go up in the mountains there as a kid, and you could still drink from the streams way up in the mountains, above where they had the cows. below the cows, you didn't want to drink the water.
How does a shy young Jill from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, grow up to be Lacy J. Dalton? Where did that come from? And who were you before Lacy J?
My birth name was Jill Lynn Byrem. And then I married John Croston, my first husband, and the father of my son, Adam. And John had a very bad accident and died when he was totally paralyzed from the neck down. And I really thought at that time, I found out I was pregnant right about the same time. And I really thought, I just said to myself, well, I guess I'm not supposed to sing. I'm supposed to do this. Well, that's what I did. I took care of him and my child. And 3 years later, he died from the complications of that. And later on, I remarried later on in life. When I was probably 36 or 7, I married a man named Aaron Anderson, and I was married to him for 16 years. We lived together for 4 years before we got married, and I lived with him. So I was actually Jill Lynn Anderson when I went to Nashville. And for some reason, they didn't think that was going to work. So,
Imagine that. Imagine that.
I had a wonderful friend named Mary McFadden. She's been my friend since we were 7 years old. We grew up together in Bloomsburg. And we wrote a song called Crazy Blue Eyes. And it happened to be, it was a different kind of a slant for country music. It was a little bit different stance than women were taking just yet in country music. And so, on the strength of that song, I was signed as an outlaw artist, which kind of led my producer. I think it was the reason that my producer, Billy Sherrill, said, "You can't be Jill and Lynn Anderson. You cannot be this person. You can be Jill, but you need a name that sounds like an outlaw." And so, and I couldn't find anything that worked with Jill, so I became Lacy. J is for Jill, for the people who know me for 30 years. And I was ancient when they signed me. I mean, they were horrified. I mean, I was 33 years old and I had this record deal. And I remember reading in the New York Times, what is this? They're signing her. She's ancient. She's 33 years old. It's like, I wish they'd see me now.
Imagine that, an old maid at 33. Are you kidding me?
Performing. What's that?
An old maid at 33. It's craziness. I don't understand that.
It was really crazy, but that was how it was. I'll
tell you what, we're going to take a look at something here. One of the things that we do here on the show is called Show and Tell, and we're going to take a look at Lacy J.
Dear God.
Uh-oh, is everybody afraid?
Yep. We are
no.
Wow, we got a full chat room tonight.
Amelia, where did you find these pictures? That's what I want.
If you're doing it to blame, it's him.
Collectors and the internet. Check this out.
Yes.
Now, you want to look at this here and tell me that you're in your 30s in this photo?
Well, they had retouching back then too.
Oh, she's got to be 22 years old.
You look terrific. Let's just
She's
be
like
honest
22 years old right there.
Well, I think they did a lot of retouching. I think one of the most difficult things for me, I don't think Sylvia had this problem. She was always just very, very beautiful, but I had a problem with trying to look the part of being a star.
I'll tell you what, you're doing a pretty damn good job in this photo here.
Well, like
I love that picture. I do. I'll take straight up.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that picture. It's
really
pretty flattering picture.
It's funny because Leslie asked me. Leslie Adams, of course,
my fabulous manager. I have the best manager in the whole world. I really do. She is truly great.
She saw a photo that I used in part of our promotion for the show and wanted to know where I got it. And quite frankly, I pulled it up off the internet. There are, tens of thousands of photos of you.
I know, and most of them I look like an Idaho potato. This one look okay. I look, I think I looked like my father looked like that.
This picture here, I want to ask you about the Blue-Eyed Blues. You've been compared to the kind of the country Bonnie Raitt, and that's not a bad comparison. Because I love Bonnie Raitt, and I'm just crazy about you, lady. Talk to me about your style, your influences, and the people who motivated you to sing.
Well, I broke my father's heart because, Sylvia, unlike you, I grew up in a country music family. My dad and mother and sister all played country music. And when I came of age and started playing my own music, I started listening to all kinds of other music. I fell in love with Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and Janis Joplin and Jefferson Airplane. And I just absolutely broke my father's favorite song was "Give Me 40 Acres and I'll Turn This Rig Around." Yeah, that was his thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that. He said, "Why do you like all these songs with these minor chords in them? They're so sad." I said, "I don't know, Dad. It's just what I love." And so I did a lot of different kinds of music before I got the record deal in 1979. I actually ran off to California with a rock and roll guitar player and we had a band called Office, which was a psychedelic rock and roll band. Lived in a commune, which by
hard
the way,
to imagine.
I don't
hard for me to imagine that.
Really. I probably look pretty cleaned up now, but
well, I mean, you clean up pretty damn good.
It's fake.
Talk to me about this album, Taking It Easy. There's the album Taking It Easy. But there's a story behind that. Tell me the story.
Well, that thing is having its 40th anniversary right now, and Taking It Easy was a song that Mark Sherrill and I were out in his boat on Lake Henderson,
Right.
and all Mark ever wanted to do was have fishing boats to rent and live in Florida and have a bait shop and fishing boats. And he started writing this song, and he goes, I want to go where the warm winds blow me. And we had been writing together. We wrote a lot of songs together. And so we started writing that song, and we got quite a bit of it done. We took it in to show it to Mark's cousin, Billy Sherrill, who was probably at that time the greatest producer in Nashville, and certainly one of the greatest ones who ever was. He discovered George Jones and Tammy Wynette and did Charlie Rich and was Ray Charles' producer almost to the end of his life. But he also produced Outlaws, which was, I'll never forget going into, which is why I was glad I was with him, because he kind of understood that he didn't want me to do that music. He wanted me to sing pop music. And so I wrote songs. Even Taking It Easy might have been one of those songs, the one we wrote with Mark Sherrill, which it was his idea, was more of a pop song. You know, I want to go where the warm winds blow me. My kind of thing is hard luck ace. You know, I was rougher than that. But
Preach it.
Well, Billy had us writing pop music, and I wrote some pop songs and had million airplay songs. And I wrote a song. Janie Fricke was so kind to me when I went to Nashville, and she used to sing backup for me when she was a much bigger star. And it was really kind of her to do that. And I wrote a song for her called Losing Kind of Love. Now, Janie has a range that's about twice as big as mine. And this song had this range of losing kind of love. And so it's a big pop song. And she had just had a song called It Ain't Easy Being Easy. So I wrote a song called There's a Losing Kind of Love Inside of Me. And it was a million airplay song. And it's my sister's favorite song. Janie probably thought, if it's such a good song, why aren't you singing it? Mm-hmm. So I had to sing it. I had to record the stupid thing. And it became, but I always wish that Janie would have done it, because it was actually written for her voice. But
we're looking at you receiving a platinum album. Can you tell everybody what the story behind this platinum album is?
Oh, I'll tell you, Antonio, this is I'm really thrilled with this. I think it was a huge moment in my career. There were so many incredible people on Willie Nelson's Half Nelson recording that went platinum. And just recently, I was fortunate to be the only woman on this collection of people with some of the most amazing Julio Iglesias and Carlos Santana and Leon Russell, and I mean Ray Charles. Everybody was on this CD, and they recently presented me with a platinum record for a song that Willie and I did on the album called Slow Moving Outlaw, which is about how, you know, the trains are, you know, it goes, all the old stations are being torn down and the high-flying trains no longer roll. And it talks about, it says, you know, about our country. It's not that I blame them for taking her back. I just wish that they'd taken her slow, because where slow moving, once quick draw outlaw got to go.
Yeah. You know, Lacy, I spent 15 years in Tennessee. And admittedly, I'm not a huge country music fan, but I did very much enjoy the Grand Ole Opry and been there several times. Why is it, and here's the question I've got for you. Why is it that the men of country music can get away with far much more than the ladies of country music? There was I forget the young lady's name, but a few years ago, there was a young woman in country, kind of made a little bit of headlines for being a bad girl. What is it about the women that they're expected to be proper and polite, and they can't, you know, they can't stir the boat, you know, or rock the boat, as they say? I had to clean that one up. I was going to say stir the ship, but I don't want to say that.
Well,
You get what I'm saying? Why is it that there's a double standard for the men and the women in country?
because there is in the whole world. The whole world is like that. Look at these new things that are happening politically that are, trying to keep women pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen again. I'm sorry.
Right.
I just have to say, I really, I really think that women need to be we need to say what we need to say, and we need to
Yeah.
be good partners and equal
Mhm.
partners to men, and that's just not happening almost anywhere in the world. It's
Yeah.
always sort of been this way, but I think that the more that we begin to realize that women have such a wonderful different viewpoint sometimes than men, not always, but I think we have an equal thing to offer, and yet I just wrote a song called The Devil by a Different Name. And it's the last verse goes, I'm a woman, I'm strong, but I've been told that I am less than for so long. Eve ate an apple. They say we're to blame. That's just the
Yeah.
devil by a different name, boys. The devil by a different name. We were
Exactly.
meant to be the other. We're meant to be two halves of a whole. And I think that, I don't know how you feel about that, Sylvia, but I didn't really notice there was a lot of prejudice in my career because I've always been outspoken. So if I have something to say, I will say it, and I have to believe that I don't always have to agree with another person to care about the person or to care about what they're saying. There are people who have totally opposite views from me.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
Who-
I do. Lacey, I do agree with you that it's all in the culture, and it's not just in America; it's all over the world. Uh,
Yeah.
Women we're trying to find how to be, in our power, in our voices as human beings. And I remember one time when I was still working on Music Row as a secretary receptionist, I looked at Billboard magazine, and I was struck by in the top 100 singles in country music, there were 3 women and 97 men on the chart that week.
That's what I'm talking about. It's exactly
That's
what
what
I'm
we're
talking about.
talking about. So, I'm really glad to see that, women are finding their voices, and it's a painful time, because, people get scrutinized for speaking their truth. But that's how change happens, and I appreciate that you have always been very outspoken, Lacey. That inspires me.
Well, I think we all have been, especially the women in country music. A lot of the women in country music are outspoken now, and a lot of them have suffered for it. A lot of them have really had their careers impacted by it, and it's at a point sometimes you have to say, yes, this career is very important to me. I really appreciate it, but I'm not going to allow it to change me so much that I don't know who I am anymore.
Exactly.
You just have to. What did someone say? You have to stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. And I think your co-anchor Amelia has a lot to do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think she's
Speaking of Amelia, why don't you jump in there, Amelia?
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's very important because now people, if we've noticed, pretty much when we were growing up, we had male principals, and now it's pretty much female principals. And Sylvia now has her own record label, and I applaud you for that. That you are able to do your own music now, and I know that you've been wanting to do that for a very long time. Break away from all the record labels, so that way you could do your own music and actually write your own music, because I know that you've been wanting to do that for a very long time as well. And
Yes.
I know that you've had a few, right? Correct? That you've been wanting to do.
I've been recording on my own label, which just means I put out my own records. I don't have any other artists on the label. It's just me. But I remember when I, was no longer with RCA, and I was trying to, 2 or 3 years later, trying to get interest in another major label, maybe picking me up. And Lacey, just like you, it's like I was in my mid to late 30s at that point, and there's like, you're too old. You're, like, hey, you've already had your career. Why don't you just go home and, just do something else? It was really somebody patting you on the head and telling you to go home because you've already had your time in the light, And it's like, but I'm not finished singing. I'm not finished writing. I'm not finished. I have things to express through music. And so I just said, well, what, what am I doing? Why am I asking people permission to make music? I'll just make music myself,
Exactly.
And, it's not easy. And I think people probably know that being independent artists, it's not an easy thing because you're wearing lots of hats and everything that gets paid for, you're paying for out of your own pocket. So um, it's not easy, but it's also you have a lot of freedom, and that's wonderful. And I love that I
Mhm.
can make a record and record the songs and write the songs that I want to write and say what I want
Yeah.
to say. And yes, I don't reach as many people as I used to, but that's the price you pay, I guess, at this point in time in history.
Sylvia,
Luckily,
I've
we
got a
have the
question
internet.
for you. How political was the music scene when you were getting involved?
Oh, very political. Yeah, I mean, it was very male dominated, and
Hmm.
I, got signed. I think on my merits as a singer, which I feel really good about. I, auditioned for Dave and Sugar, this group. One of the girls had left the group, and I didn't get the part, but um, RCA heard me. Jerry Bradley at RCA and Charlie Pride heard me sing during
Right.
those auditions, and so they became interested in hearing anything I might record. And a year and a half later, we took some songs to them, and they liked what they heard and signed me. So, from that standpoint, I guess it wasn't political necessarily, but I was told by a record executive because I was asking, to be, teamed up with other RCA artists at the time and we were all having success, and basically was told, female singers are always going to be they're going to be the openers. They don't put butts in the seats. I mean, literally, that's what I was told, that right to my face. And I said, it's going to be the truth as long as you believe it. If you change what you believe, you're going to change that. And a lot of singers came along after that.
Hmm.
A lot of female singers that do put butts in the seats. I mean,
Yes.
it was just a different mentality then. I'm not bitter or upset about any of that. It's just interesting to perceive or get a perspective from this point in time in my career and look back and say, yeah, there's a lot of old belief systems that need to be swept away, and we need to open our minds to
Right.
see things differently. Yeah.
Lacey, when you were starting out, particularly around the Nashville area, did you run into the smooth talking, slick promoters that come here, kid, I'll make you a star. All you have to do is take care of business for me.
I think Sylvia and I have probably heard. You cannot believe the green slime of the music business. There
Oh, I
is
believe it.
it is fathoms deep, and it is. I People will tell you anything. It is really quite a business. I do not particularly like the business of music. I've had to do it because if you want to live, if you want to
Hmm.
eat, if you want to raise your children, if you want to keep making music,
Sure.
you deal with what you have to deal with. But there are so many people who they prey on artists. They're
Yeah.
like lampreys that eat the eels that get on sharks. And pretty soon, the poor shark has 50 million lampreys on it. I remember one time when I was giving 15% to a manager, 10% to a business manager, 15 to 20% to an agent, and
Gee.
I don't know how much money. Yeah, I still don't know what happens to money with a record company. It just, I don't know. The only
Did
way
you
I've
get
ever
to keep any
actually
of it?
made it,
Holy
not
shit.
very much. I
I
have
was going to say, man, that's
the
crazy.
biggest song I ever had. The biggest song I ever wrote was called "Everybody Makes Mistakes," and I wrote it with my. I make absolutely nothing from that song. I have never gotten a single penny from it because
That's remarkable. I want people to listen to what you just said. Okay. I
well,
want them to really comprehend what you just said. That you
well,
had a hit song and made shit from it.
Well, it was a guy from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, actually, with the radio station there. I was up doing an interview with him. He said, "Well, you know,
Remarkable.
the biggest song you've ever had that ever got the most play in the United States was Everybody Makes Mistakes." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He said, that's the most played song you have in the United States. It's
Incredible.
right here in BMI." I looked it up, and I thought, and I have never made penny one. It says I'm a writer. That's a nice thing.
So you're credited as a
You
writer,
know,
but what about the Writers Guild? I mean, you get something. Do you get any kind of
Nothing.
residual?
Nothing. I just remember. I know that that
Really?
would never
That's
have, that
remarkable.
would never have been Billy Sherrill's thing. I remember we were quoting the song at the time. I didn't think Billy would like the song because it wasn't very like what was happening in Nashville at all at the time. But I was sitting out in the front office playing the song, and he said, "Well, what is that you're playing?" I said, "Oh, it's a thing I've just written. You know, I was out in California, and I was, you know, this is." And he said, "Well, show it to me." So he showed it to me, and we finished it up that day and went in the studio almost immediately and cut it. And uh, I have never. Well, I remember when they brought the paperwork in, we were in the middle of cutting the song, and the Young Turks from the publishing company came in. I'm sure that Billy would never have allowed this to happen to me. Never.
Remarkable.
He would never have allowed it. He had plenty of money. He had more money he could ever use.
Yeah.
But
It's just it's astounding to think that, you know, back in 1956 and when May Hoyt Axton wrote "Love Me Tender," they put Elvis Presley's name on as a co-writer. They said, "Here's the idea behind it was, if the song bombs, at least you'll get writing credit. You know, you'll get writer money for it." But and now you think about today, when a lot of I don't want to say most artists, a lot of artists are self-represented and pretty much self-employed, self-published.
well, we kind of have to. You know,
And
if you haven't become the biggest thing in show business, after a while you got to do it yourself.
well, you think about why you have to now. It's craziness. It's crazy.
It's free though, isn't it, Sylvia? It's freedom.
You spend your entire life touring, you know, and every city is another dollar. But there's also an expense. You got to travel. You got to pay your band. You got to eat. You got to sleep. People don't think about that. They just think, "Oh, well, Lacy made $15,000, $20,000, you know, for 4 songs." Okay, well, it's probably a drop in the bucket. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, what it cost you to make that 20 grand. It probably cost you 15 to make the 20. That's the point I'm trying to make. Amelia, questions for Lacy J, Dalton, and Sylvia.
Yes. I had a question also for Sylvia because she has a new album coming up called Nature's Child. What inspired that album?
I want a copy.
I'm so glad you brought that. It's right here.
Yes.
It came out February 22nd of 22. So it was 222. Yeah,
That's numbers.
You better put a couple of them in the mail for us.
Yeah, well, I can do that. I can
Absolutely.
do that. But I'm so thrilled with how this turned out. It's a record that's been in the making for over 30 years. I co-wrote half of the record with my friend Berlin Thompson, and those songs were written a little over 30 years ago. And I kind of put it aside, thinking, well, I'm going to get to it and record it, you know. But life kind of had other plans for me, and now was the time to do it. I really see that now was really the time to put out Nature Child. It's very uplifting and positive, hopeful.
Oh, yes, I love it.
Encouraging all of us to let the child inside of us, you know, come out and play and create and dream and imagine the kind of life we do want to live, because we can create it. You know, I think we get into a mindset sometimes that we think, you know, when everything out there gets all straightened out, then I'll be able to do what I do. But I think we've got to find the wherewithal within ourselves and bring that out into this world, and that's what creates change. You know? So that this record is really the best work I think I've done to date, and I'm really excited about people.
Sylvia, do you enjoy writing?
I love it. I love it.
What's,
Yeah.
for you, what's the best part of writing? Is it a catharsis for you? Is it like therapy? Where does your head go when you're writing?
When I'm writing, especially with this record, I had a theme. I was really inspired by all these little kids that would come to my shows in the 80s. And when I got off the road toward the end of the 80s and I looked back and I realized one of the high points was all these little kids that would come to the shows. And I felt like, boy, I wish I had music that said what I would really want to be saying to a child. But as I, through the years, I realized this music isn't just for children. It's really, it's for the child inside all of us. It's about allowing ourselves, giving ourselves permission to go in and dream and create. Because, I don't know if most of you know this, but for the last 20 plus years, I've worked as a life and career coach. I went to California and got my certification as a coach. And I've been doing this work, and I'm constantly in conversations with people about what their gifts are and how.
Sylvia, you want to hear something scary, honey?
What?
You ready for this? I'm a certified life coach here in New Jersey. Lacy, what are you laughing for? Lacy J. Dalton is laughing at me. It's the truth. I'm licensed and credentialed as a life coach. I swear to you, I can't make this shit up. Honestly, I am.
The artwork on that album is amazing. It's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's so beautiful.
Well,
And that's who did that, by the way, if you don't mind me asking.
did what?
Who did the artwork, if you don't mind me asking? It's
I did.
beautiful.
You
did?
Oh, did you?
My friend John Mock and I did.
Oh, that's
designed the
gorgeous.
album.
Isn't that beautiful? She's an artist.
It's very kind of like medieval looking, almost
Well,
like
you know she draws, right? She's
fantasy
an
inspired.
artist. Sylvia's an artist.
We wanted to make it feel kind of like a storybook.
Okay, gotcha.
And so there, each of these songs is a story that I'm calling this a concept album because it really does take you on a journey.
I want to promote Lacy's new album, Biker Chick from Hell. No, I'm kidding.
No. And you have the song "My Best Friend"
Lacy,
on there reminds me of my
that
friend.
One?
My best friend.
Yes.
Lacy, did you hear that one?
I love that song.
Oh, thanks.
No,
You didn't hear? I said I'm going to promote Lacy J's new album, Biker Chicks from Hell.
I didn't tell him to do that. I swear that's on his own.
Yeah, well, look, I'm the comic relief around here.
Yeah.
So I will tell you what, we have another show and tell to get to.
Uh-oh.
We did Lacy J. Dalton show and tell. Sylvia, it's your turn, kiddo.
Again, he did this
And
on
then
his
I have
own,
a
Sylvia.
surprise for Lacy J. Dalton after this. So talk to me about this. Where you must have been about 12 when this picture was taken.
I was in my 20s.
You're in your
It was some award show, and I remember that dress. It was maybe some award
Now
show.
this is clearly in the beginning of your career, right? You're trying to make a name for yourself here.
Well, I'd already had nobody by then because my
I think
hair
it was during Snapshot, right?
Pardon?
During the Snapshot album, I think it was when you did Snapshot.
Well, yeah, it could have been during that time. This was, of course, the Drifter record.
Drifter was, because Amelia told me a little bit about Drifter. This was the second album.
No, this was the
The
first
third,
album.
the first album.
one. Okay,
Mhm.
Yes, and this was my first #1 record.
Mhm.
terrific.
And the single right before this was Tumbleweed, and it went into the top 10.
And then after the Drifter was, I believe we have it right here. Here we go. Hot. Not
That's
this.
the album cover. Yeah, the other was the
Yeah.
sleeve of the single. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Amelia, walk us through this.
This one? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that one that was supposed to be, I think it was going to be Greatest Hits album, but it turned out to be a different album after all.
Well, it really actually ended up being the Greatest Hits cover.
Mhm.
But there was another record that I did that got shelved that never did get released on RCA called Knockin' Around. That never did.
Mhm.
This is the surprise album. This was in 1984.
And you were signed to RCA at the time?
Yes.
How long
these
were
are
you with
these are
RCA?
all on RCA.
That's the album I listened to today.
How long were you signed to RCA, Sylvia?
For 8 years.
Okay, gotcha.
I was signed actually same time you, Lacy. I signed in '79. the fall of
I've
1979.
got to ask you about this. Explain this. Amelia and I didn't talk about this one, and I deliberately so.
Well, this was my
The Sylvia, the real story. What's this all about?
Well, this was my first independent release on my
Okay.
record label, and I co-wrote several of the songs on the album. But
I wasn't sure if this was the music or whether it was like a documentary film.
no,
Okay.
this is a music album.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
And
That was at
I
some
wanted to
Georgia.
ask you this. My understanding is this was a bit controversial for you. They tell me that there were groups from what's that, PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, protested you wearing this fur.
I don't remember that. No.
Yeah, there's actually, you can,
But I would protest it now.
I was going to say, but there are actually photos of you on the internet being protested with this
No,
coat on.
no, not
Can't
really.
make this shit up. Honest to God, you can't do it.
I've not seen it. But anyway, no, I would not wear fur today. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you.
No, I
And-
have awakened since then a bit.
Terrific. Now,
We
Lacy
didn't,
J.
we didn't know that.
I have a surprise for Lacy J. Dalton, but
We did.
before I do that, I have to do a word from our sponsor. So
No.
I'm going to Amelia, Lacy, and Sylvia. I'm going to just give you a heads up. You might want to cover your ears. There you go.
She's good.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. That's how we pay the bills around here. That's how we pay the bills around here.
I had no
Oh,
control
shit.
of that one. So
Lacy J. Dalton. There is a gentleman in our chat room tonight. His name is Stephen Plim.
Oh,
You
for heaven's
remember-
sakes. I do
Yeah.
remember. How is Steven?
He's going to call you right now. Stephen,
Holy
give Lacy a call.
gentlemen callers.
He's going to give you a call. He may call into the show, or he may just call my phone. Steve is a very dear friend of mine. In fact, I was going to put the
Nice
picture of the two of you.
segue, by the way.
Say again.
that
I'm
was
sorry,
funny.
you froze up for half a second. What happened?
Just a good segue, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Stephen, if you're there, call in, please. Yes. Call the number. There
Hi,
he is.
Steve.
Okay, we're going to do this old school. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I can just barely hear you, Steve. How are you doing? Nice to hear your voice. I can. Yeah.
Is this good?
Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Lacey, I'm watching the show. I just had to tune in. I mean, Angelo, is one of the greatest guys in the world to interview. He's a cross between Johnny Carson and Wolfman Jack, and I had to hear him talk to you.
Well, I'm enjoying him immensely. He's my kind of guy.
Well, me
I
too, and
love
wanna-
this woman, Stephen. I'm going to run away. I'm moving to Nevada tomorrow.
You have a Harley though.
Lacey, when I heard that he was having you on his show, I called him and I said, "Let me tell you something. There's one word that describes Lacy J. Dalton. Just one word. It's called class." I said, "I was with her in Reno, Nevada. Remember we spent a day doing that pilot?
Yes. Yes.
And You're just delightful, lovely, and whatever vitamins you're taking to keep you look 25, please send me some, please.
You
Is
know
she
what?
the bomb diggity or what? I'm telling you what, man.
Thank you,
She's
but I
fine.
do. I tell you what, I could have a vitamin shop. I believe in supplements. I have a.
Absolutely.
No, I really do. I believe in supplements. If you have purebred animals and you're breeding fine Arab horses or really great.
Yeah. Mr.
It-
Plim takes liquid supplements.
what we need from
Yes.
the American diet. Trust me, it is not.
Well, they often ask
the
me,
best thing.
what do you take with your vodka? I said, "That's about it."
This makes it work better. Okay, that's all right.
For those of you who don't know, Stephen Plim, the gentleman on the phone right now, we're doing this old school style, by the way. Steve Plim is the former manager and agent and a lifelong friend of the legendary Tiny Tim. He has also represented Adam West, Jerry Mathers, I got Joe Fraser, Jake LaMotta, a bunch of folks.
You know what? I love when you do that because it's name dropping. You know, the old saying. I think you said it to me one time. I've been with the greats, the kind of greats, and the ingrates.
The kind of great thing. Well, Stephen, thank you for calling. I'm gonna hang up and we're gonna talk about you. All right.
Be well, Steve. Thanks for calling in.
Lacy says thanks for calling in, brother.
I'm just so proud to have met you that day.
He said you're beautiful. He loves you, and he's proud to have met you that day. Stephen, I'll call you after the show, baby. You got it. Stephen Plim. He is Stephen is a character. He's the last of the old school. He really, really is. He's the guy who still says, let's do lunch. Who loves you, baby? My people will call your people. That's Stephen. That's not a put on. That's just the way Steve rolls.
Old
He's
guard.
a character.
Yeah.
I love Steve Plim. He's a unique breed. So, Lacy J. Dalton, let's talk about the future of country music. Where is it going? Where is it headed? I'm not liking what I'm hearing. There seems to be, I understand the music has to evolve, but there seems to be almost not an evolution of country, but an eroding of country music. I'm hearing a lot of rock in country music, and not southern rock or classic rock. It's just, country music, rock and rolls. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm not liking what I'm hearing. I like old school. Hank Williams, little Jimmy Dickens, Bill Anderson. I love that kind of stuff. The traditional
And
country.
SYLVIA and Lacy J. Dalton. Don't forget to mention them too.
Yeah, but you know where I'm going with this,
See?
Amelia?
Yes, of course.
So
You know-
where's it going, Lacy?
Mhm.
It seems to me that the new country music is going very pop.
Yes, it is.
Very, very pop. And that there's a place for that. There's a place for all music. There's all kinds of music in the world. And there will be traditionalists. There will be people who will, it's almost like a pendulum swings. Swings to the right, and it swings to the left, and it swings to the right. I just hope someday we get somewhere in the middle. There is certainly a place. I've been listening to traditional country music lately on my local radio station. And I have to admit that for many years I did not listen to country music. I like all kinds of music, but I've been really appreciating some of the T. Graham Brown. I did a country music cruise recently, and T. Graham Brown sang a song that was so moving, and I'd not heard him sing it live. It was a song called "Help Me Turn the Wine Back into Water." His a challenge with alcohol.
Yeah.
And when you hear somebody like Chris Christopherson sing "Why Me, Lord," now everybody in the world has sung "Why Me, Lord." Ray Charles did it, George Jones did it, Merle Haggard did it. Everybody has done that song, but nobody ever told it like Christofferson did, because it was so real to him. That
Absolutely.
song that he wrote was so utterly believable. You know, I love these songwriters, and I love to hear them sing their own songs. And I can't wait, Sylvia, to hear some of the songs that you've written on your new project. I really am interested. I love songwriters are the most beautiful souls. A lot of them never get any. I was with Tony Hazelden, who wrote "You Know Me Better Than That" for George Jones, and Tony told me, I'm sorry, George Strait, and he said, you know, I've never met George Strait, and oftentimes I think, you know, it's amazing that some of these incredible songwriters never get to even meet the people who've made their music so popular. And I am so interested in these songwriters, because the stories behind the reasons that they write these songs. For instance, Sylvia's got songs about her inner child, or are all of our inner children who were probably are lucky to exist. You know, I remember hiding under my desk when I was a kid, the threat of the atom bomb. You know, get under your desk, they're going to bomb us.
Yeah.
And what kids are dealing with today. But I think that these experiences that we have in life, when they are distilled into a song for everyone to enjoy, the stories
Absolutely.
behind that are
Yeah, Lacy, you're frozen up a little bit?
No.
Oh, there you go. You're frozen up
There you
just,
are.
just here.
There you are.
We have people in the chat
people
room.
tell me that
wanna
in bed all the time. I don't know.
No. We have people in the chat room that would love to ask you guys some questions. Patricia Brewer says, hopefully you'll come back to Canada again. Said Dane's Picnic hasn't been the same since you were there last. And yeah, so obviously that struck a chord with you. So Patricia, if you're still with us in the chat room, ask a question and go ahead, fire away for Lacy J. In the meantime, Rose Marchetti is here, and she says, what you're hearing is very bad pop music. Listen to Americana.
Oh, that's so good. I love Americana. I love it.
It's okay. Oh, sorry there, Leslie. Thank you. Leslie Adams is chiming in here. So Leslie wants me to let you go, Lacy.
Oh,
It's
what?
been an hour.
Oh,
I told him an hour, man.
Yeah. Is she next to you?
she's close.
Is she close? Leslie, I love you, babe. You're on my Christmas list. Give me 5 more minutes with Lacy.
All right, no worries.
Beautiful.
Thank you. You know, it's really lovely to be here with you today. I
Yes.
really appreciate this. It's been a nice conversation, and I didn't know, Sylvia, that you had a new record, and I'm very interested to hear what you've written.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm interested to hear your latest music too, because a couple of years ago, there was a thing online called Spirit Awards, and your record, one of your records won, and I listened to several songs from that record, and it just blew me away. So you're making some great music, and I'll be happy to share my record with you. I'd love to hear.
I know I was sharing your music when I was a kid, Sylvia. I used to pretend to have your concerts when I was a kid. I used to sell tickets to my friends and say, here, you can, I'm going to be Sylvia singing Sylvia. Here's a ticket. Here's a ticket. And it was so much fun. And then my dad, I was grounded one time, and he said, hurry up, turn on the radio. I said, but I'm grounded. He goes, it's okay. Sylvia's singing at Gillies. You can sing. You can hear it. It's okay. Your mom's not here. I'm like, okay, hurry up. When is she going to be back? Can you tell me?
All right. Amelia, hang in there, kid. I have to say goodbye to Lacy. Lacy J. Dalton, I love you, kiddo. You're an amazing woman. Got to have you back again.
Yes.
I'm going to try to butter up Leslie next time. Maybe I can bribe her with some candy
I'll do my best too.
flowers or something like that. So,
Mad Dog, you truly are you really are a lunatic. It's really fun to talk to you.
thank you.
That's the first time I've ever heard that one. I like that one.
You know, I mean, look, I'll cut you your own, Manscaped style commercial if you need to.
Oh, I'm telling you what, the Manscaped commercial, that was the high point for me. I was
I wrote that stuff too.
Did you
I
really?
wrote it. I wrote it, I produced it, and I performed it.
Does it
Absolutely.
exist? Is it a real thing?
Yeah, wait, I'm not just a commercial spokesman. I'm also a client. I use this stuff.
So it exists.
I
You
am.
can get this for your girlfriend, right?
Look, I mean, I have to be true to my audience. You know, they want to know, am I silky smooth? I am silky smooth. I am the mad dog.
It's so good to know this. It is so good to know this. We, I have more respect now.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'll tell you, Amelia, let's say goodbye to Lacy J. Dalton.
Yes.
She has been absolutely
Goodbye.
amazing. Thank you so much, young lady. I will have you back,
Yes.
and I'm going to hit up Leslie, and
Close them again,
maybe
but
she'll actually answer the
Mad
phone.
Dog, you're the best. Good.
Thank you, sweetheart. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Lacy J. Dalton, everyone.
Thank you. It was
Bye-bye.
a
Bye,
pleasure.
Take care.
Lacy.
Oh,
I'm going to
man.
have to go too.
She probably thinks I'm
Aw.
a kook.
Yeah, I'm going to have to run pretty
So
quick.
we have Sylvia probably for another 15 minutes.
Ooh, I
Oh,
think that's
just
pushing
a
it.
few more minutes.
Are
But
we- are
where's
we-
Another
Miss Kate
7
at?
minutes. You got
Are
me for another 7 minutes.
Oh, are we pushing it? Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Where's
Okay.
Kate at, your little
I'll tell you,
baby?
Amelia,
He's
since
laying right
here's
beside
what
Aw.
I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I
Uh-huh.
am going to bring Sylvia front and
Yes.
center here,
There she
and
is.
I'm going to let you sign off with Sylvia. Go
Okay.
ahead. For you.
Okay, I was just going to say thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure, and we would love to see if you could come back again and really promote your next project. If you would like to, please let us know where we can find you next. Where's your touring?
Well, I'm going to be in Crossville, Tennessee on the 21st of this month, May, and at the Palace Theater there. And I hope people will get tickets and come out. You can get those online at the Palace Theater.
I
and,
used to live in Crossville, and I know the Palace Theater.
Yeah, well, cool. Well,
It's
we're
a
playing
scary
there
thing.
a week from
Small
Saturday.
world. Save me a
Awesome.
seat.
Okay, well, come on down. Come on down. We'd love to have you there.
Honestly, it was a thrill to have you here. I want
Yes.
you to promote the heck out of yourself for the next 6 minutes. Go for it.
Yes, the album. Where can we get your album and
Yeah, let
anything?
me tell you about that. Well, this album is, you can get all the information you need right on my website, which is sylviamusic.com. SYL, you see it right there,
Yes, ma'am.
sylviamusic.com. And you can stream it on Spotify or, any of the Pandora, Apple Music, Amazon. I mean, you can listen to it anywhere. So even if you don't buy CDs anymore, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have CD players anymore. But you can buy the CD, of course, on Amazon or any place where they sell CDs, and you can stream it. And in fact, today it's real important to stream music. I know a lot of fans don't like to stream music, but I think we've got to kind of change our minds about things, because the way they're tallying record sales these days is by how many streams your music gets.
Yeah.
And so it really helps, especially independent artists, to get those songs and albums streamed out there. So if you subscribe to Spotify or one of those music, iTunes, whatever, Apple Music, please stream the music. It really helps independent artists. And besides that, this album, I just so want people to hear it. I mean, if I never make a dime on this record, I just want people to hear the music, because it's really beautiful music that inspires your soul and is
Good for you.
uplifting and fun. And
And that's why we do what we do, Sylvia. Honestly, being serious and I'm rarely serious, and Amelia will tell you, but being serious for a minute, that's why we do what we do. There are people who they're an incredibly gifted population we live in, and a lot of people are gifted musically. Some are gifted, poetically. We give everybody that walks through these doors the opportunity to show off their wares, because otherwise they may not have the opportunity to do so. It's very expensive to get your music heard.
Yes. And
It really
almost
is.
impossible unless you're on a major label. You're not going to hear my music.
Exactly.
Unless you're hearing my old music from the 80s, you might hear nobody on a oldies station or something like that.
Exactly.
And that's, so
But,
if you want to support live music and support independent artists that are really trying to, and these last couple of years have been hard for all of my
Oh
friends.
God, yeah.
All of my friends that I have not been able to tour. I've not done, this will be my first concert, live
Mhm.
concert in 2.5 years.
Oh my
So
God.
it's been a long dry spell with the virus out there and the pandemic.
Are you
So
having to make up old dates from pre-pandemic?
yes, we're in the
Mhm.
process right now of trying to reschedule, but everybody else is trying to reschedule too. So you
Oh
got
God,
kind of
yeah,
lined up because everybody's trying to get back
yeah.
out there, and then you just keep watching
That's
the news.
hard. That's
And I hope this
really, really
goes well.
hard to do. Oh, I'll tell you what, Sylvia, you are an amazing and
Mhm.
patient woman. Thank you so much for being with us. Amelia, thank you
Yes.
for turning me on to
Oh,
Sylvia.
absolutely.
I've actually, in preparation for the show, listened to some of your music, and you're pretty damn good, kid. I think you're going to go
Yes.
someplace.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much
yes.
for joining us. I'm going to let you go now. Everybody, it's a one word, Sylvia. It's all you need
Yes.
to know.
Mhm.
That's it.
SylviaMusic.com.
There you
You
go.
are welcome back here anytime, young lady. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
Thank
Mad
you.
Dog.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
night. God
Amelia. I
bless.
Oh, yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Mwah.
That was a hell of a
I
show.
loved it.
That was
Awesome.
great. Lacy J. Dalton fell in love with me,
Yes.
and
And you're
Sylvia's
not
going to give
going
you
to
free
Nevada.
music.
Yes. And you're not going to
Good.
Nevada.
Yeah. I'm going to send her a Wrestling with the Future T-shirt.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll wait till we get the new What's
Yes.
the Buzz shirt.
And Sylvia, I'd love to send Sylvia one too. I'll get.
Oh God, yeah. I think how do you beat that one? I mean, I think we just got to say
Oh, it's
goodnight to
beautiful.
everybody.
Absolutely. That was
Yeah,
one of the great
why don't
shows.
you tell everybody where they can get a hold of your social and all that stuff?
Absolutely. Instagram, of course, it's What's the Buzz. Of course, here with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, unless we have a special guest that we have to do it more than once a week. And of course, Amelia Valerio Chapman on Facebook or aachap70@gmail.com.
And I am always at Mad Dog DeCipio on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You will find us everywhere there's a podcast because if you can't find us, you ain't looking because we're
200 and
everywhere.
something channels.
I'm telling you what, we are everywhere. On behalf of Amelia Pitbull Chapman, I'm Mad Dog DeCipio. Thank you to Lacy J. Dalton. Thank you to Sylvia.
Yes.
And once again, Bruce Valanche, you're the bomb. We love you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.